Well, hello everybody, welcome back to our channel. In today's video we want to do a review of our Jayco Journey Outback caravan. This is the rig that we've been using for camping and fishing and for semi-full-time travel for the last 2 years. I want to talk about the good, the bad and the ugly. I'm not affiliated with Jayco or anything, and I'm not a fanboy of Jayco either. So I just want to show you everything we have experienced with it. I want to show you why we bought this for our camping and fishing adventures in particular. And I want to show you some of the problems we had with it, what went wrong, and also talk a little bit about the quality issues that Jaycos are facing. And is it actually a Jayco issue in particular, or is it like just a general caravanning issue? So let's get right into it. If you're new to our channel, my name is Mark and I travel with my wife Heshin. Heshin, say hello.
Hi guys, I am Heshin.
We have been traveling around full-time for almost 10 years now, and before we had this caravan we had a bus, so we have a little bit of experience in traveling around with motorhomes and caravans. Now guys, if you like our videos, make sure you give us a thumbs up and you subscribe, and also head over to our website fishingreminder.com. Fishingreminder, of course, is not only a camping or caravanning but also mainly a fishing channel, and it's all based around our website fishingreminder.com, which predicts the best bite times, tide times, fishing weather and everything you need to know to plan a successful fishing trip. So if you want to boost your fishing game, then make sure you check out fishingreminder.com. You can also check out our Android and iPhone apps, all linked in the description below. And by using our services, you help support this channel as well. And yeah guys, why not? It will help you improve your fishing for sure. All right, but now without any further ado, let's get back in and have a look. My idea was to have a closer look around the caravan from the outside first. Start at the front end, go to the back end, show you all the features that I think are quite useful for camping and fishing, and then in the second part we go inside, have a look around, and then afterwards I'll show you some of the issues we've been having and how we solved them. Then I'm gonna give you my honest opinion if I think it's a good caravan or not, right? So let's go. All right, so let's start with the front end of our caravan. I'll show you guys what I like about it. Lots of the other caravan brand, the Australian off-roady type of caravan brands, they don't have a front window. I kind of like having this front window. So Jayco has this cover here to protect the window from stone ships and things like that. So you can open that, and yeah, it's got some gas struts here to hold it open, and then you got your front window. So I think having this is really cool. First of all, it lets a lot more light into the caravan than as if you have a complete closed front. Also, it kind of looks cool with this cover open here. Another thing I quite like about the Jaycos is that they have an outside water tap. When you buy this factory made, the water tap is actually sitting on the other side, and the previous owner, he moved it to this side. I think it's much better to have the water tap on this side, because that's where you got your entrance door and that's where you're wandering around. If it's on the factory made side, you always have to walk around your drawbar and access that here. So I'm not so sure what Jayco is thinking, why they put it on this side. Maybe there's a strange rule for that in Australia or something. Yeah, moving it to this side is actually a good idea, and we use the outside water tap a lot, so that's a really cool feature. Now those Jaycos, and I think most caravans, they come with 2 gas bottles, 9 kg gas bottles. And Jayco has them nicely stored on the outside of the caravan with this cover here. So everything is on the outside. One thing, look at all the spider webs here. Now one thing I noticed is with those Jaycos is they use a solid brass pipes to connect those gas cylinders here. And I've talked to a few people who have those factory made pipes, and they're really hard to connect to the cylinders because you have to kind of bend the pipe a little bit to screw on the cylinder. Previous owner, he actually installed a flexible gas pipe here. This side is cut off. Normally you can switch between the left and the right side of your gas containers here, of your gas bottles. So he cut this side off, welded that together, and instead of that side he just put that flexible pipe. So that makes it really easy actually to exchange the gas bottles here, take this off, put it on the other one. So yeah, a really cool upgrade, I think, for the Jaycos compared to the other ones. So if you buy a Jayco, if you have a Jayco, might be worthwhile doing that as well. So another cool addition the previous owner added to this Caravan is he added this tray to the drawbar here. And normally there's nothing here, right? It's just an empty space on the drawbar. So he had an engineer made up this tray. This has been, I think, glued on here. And it's really cool because when you have this tray, you can store a little bit of the dirty things that you might not want to keep in the Caravan or in your ute here in this tray. So for example, we keep our chili bin here. And then while we drive, we put our levelers in here as well, and the jockey wheel that comes off. That's not like a foldable jockey wheel, that's one that you have to take off. That can sit in here behind the chili bin as well when we drive, and it's out of the way, and we don't have to carry it around in the car or anywhere in the Caravan with us. So that's really cool. I really like this modification that the previous owner did as well. Could highly recommend doing that if you buy one of those Caravans. So another cool thing that has been modified on this Caravan is he installed another tow hitch here, and this is a particular off-road tow hitch. It comes with a pin. Instead of a tow ball, you have to use a pin, and the pin goes in here, and it gives you a really secure connection between your car and your Caravan. And this thing sort of swivels around up and down, left and right. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's called a Cruise Master tow hitch, and when we bought it we thought it was pretty cool, a bit unique, because also gives you a bit of a theft protection. Not everyone with a tow ball can tow it away, but since we bought the Caravan we have seen lots of Caravans with these type of hitches now around, so lots of people actually have those fitting tow pins on their cars. But nevertheless, it makes towing it really easy, and you don't get a lot of swaying on the Caravan, and it gives you a really good solid connection. So I really like this modification as well. Now, a good thing about buying a Caravan, any Caravan really, but also the Jaycos of course second-hand, is that lots of the factory issues that you might have with these Caravans, they have already been sorted out by the previous owners. So I always thought it's better to buy it second-hand. First of all, you don't have to wait so long if you order it new, and lots of people who drive off with these brand new Caravans end up with issues, warranty issues, and then you have to take it back to the manufacturer, and then you have to wait, and then they have to sort it out, order spare parts, and it takes a long time. But if you buy it second-hand, most of that has been taken care of by the previous owner, and often the warranty has run out and you don't have to worry about that anymore either. So if something breaks, you can fix it yourself. And yeah, if the previous owner was like this previous owner from this Caravan, if he was a bit of a handyman, then he has done lots of those kind of little modifications that are quite helpful.
It's cheaper.
Yeah, and of course it's cheaper to buy second-hand as well. Now the Caravan comes with two security options. This one here is the European type security option. So when you connect your Caravan to your car, you need to have either chains like these ones here, or you need to have a way that should the Caravan get disconnected from your car for some reason, hop off, that the brakes, the electric brakes, will automatically engage and stop the Caravan. This is what this thing is for. So you can, instead of the chains, you're not allowed in New Zealand to connect both systems at the same time. I think in Australia you're required to do that. So we still use the chains, but you can get rid of the chains, and then you can connect this cable to the car, and in case the Caravan comes off, the cable pulls out here, and this will engage the brakes of the Caravan, and the Caravan will brake and come to a stop. I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work, because if that connects and the Caravan comes to a stop, this will hit the road, right? The drawbar will go down, hit the road. Will the brakes be strong enough to prevent that digging into the road. Probably not, depends how fast you go. I'm not so sure, that's why I prefer the chains. These are the connectors that connect to your car, and on our Jayco here we got the 7-pin connector. Some of them they come with, I think it's like 12 pin or something, where you don't need this separate Anderson plug anymore. So the Anderson plug goes usually from your caravan, from your car battery to your caravan and charges your caravan batteries and also powers the fridge on 12 volt while you drive, whilst this plug is responsible for all your lights and for the brakes. But some of the caravans, they come with a 12-pin adapter, and then you don't need the Anderson plug at all. We never use it. We have only connected our 7-pin adapter. We never use this here because we got so much solar installed. I installed 640 watt solar panels and lithium batteries. So our batteries are always full from solar. I don't need to charge them up. The only thing that would be useful is maybe running the fridge on 12 volt while we drive, but we just turn off the fridge and it stays cool anyway. Now every caravan comes with a jockey wheel, so you can level it up and down when you unhook it. These Jaycos, they come with an Alco jockey wheel, pretty strong, solid jockey wheel. When you don't use it, then you have to take it off. Some of the European caravans, or other caravans I believe, they have like a jockey wheel that you can turn around sideways so it can stay here on the side. But yeah, with ours we have to take that off from the bracket and put the jockey wheel into our little tray here while we travel. Right everybody, that was the front side of the caravan. Let's move on and have a look at the side features. Now the first thing is we got some good outside storage here. On each side we got an outside storage hatch. The one on this side, on the entrance door side, has a good solid size. We got lots of stuff in here, and it actually fits a Weber mini barbecue in here. The smallest Weber fits right in here, which is quite good. And then we got, like, you know, because it goes all the way through, you can put long things in here, like for example this tool to move up and down those levelers. But there's actually quite a lot of storage in here for all your outside gear, so that is quite good. And then of course we got our levelers. So these are Alco levelers. When you set up your caravan, then you need to of course bring them down to stabilize it so it's not shaking around. So these levelers, so there are different systems for levelers. So on those Jaycos they use this kind of leg that comes out. I think it's pretty solid, it's pretty good. I have no complaints about that at all. Some people use a screwdriver attachment for that bolt to use the screwdriver to bring this up and down, but it's actually really fast. You don't really need a screwdriver to do that. Next up on the outside, Jayco includes a nice nifty little table here. I kind of like that too. It comes with a key, and then when you open it, you got your little table here for all sorts of things that you might need. It's not good for eating off, it's too high of course, but preparing fishing gear, filleting fish and things like that. So yep, having this is pretty good. Another feature that I really like is having an outside power socket here. So you got an outside socket for your 220 volt appliances, which is good, and it's also got another socket for 12 volts. So having this on the outside is really cool. We use quite a few 12 volt appliances like compressor to inflate the tires or vacuum cleaner, 12 volt vacuum cleaner and things. We can just plug that all in here. We have set out our caravan so that the inverter powers all the power sockets. We don't need to be plugged into a powered side to be able to use the outside 220 volt socket. So we can just plug in whatever we want here, run that off solar. So that's really cool. Now, if you guys are one of those people who like to entertain the whole campsite with your music choices, then there are also some nice outside speakers there. So you can blast the campsite with those speakers. And if you really, really want to be that kind of person, you can also plug in a TV here. Here's a TV antenna output. So you can watch your favorite show, Coronation Street, here on the outside, putting your TV on here, sit there and you can watch your American Idol here or your Coronation Street. So yep, I think that's what this is for. Then you probably need to have a satellite dish. We don't have satellite dish because we don't watch TV, and I wanted to have a caravan without satellite dish so I can install more solar panels and have more space for that. Also, once you have Starlink, you can do anything over the internet anyway, so you don't really need a satellite dish, in my opinion. Now, I don't know if you can see that here. Jayco has also included an adapter for an outside barbecue. So that is a gas adapter where you could possibly plug in your Weber barbecue. So you don't need to have a spare bottle or take a bottle from the front. For this you need to modify your barbecue and get a special adapter. And I haven't been able to find the correct adapter yet. It was sold out last time I checked, so now I gave up on it. I just take one of the gas bottles out when I use the barbecue, put it on the ground and connect the barbecue directly. But yeah, if you want to avoid this hassle, then you can get an adapter and you can just plug in your barbecue here as well. Now, one cool feature about those Jayco Outbacks in particular is that they're really nice and high up, which makes them go in places that other caravans can't, right? This Jayco here is a 19-foot Jayco. And when they go over 16 foot, then you get a dual axle caravan for the extra added weight, right? So we got dual axles, which make the caravan quite stable, and you can load up more into your caravan. Each of the wheels has its own brake, and it's electrically connected to the car when you drive. So when you engage your brakes on your car, then these brakes get engaged as well. That is a requirement. And what's really cool about the Jaycos is that they have independent coil suspension. So yeah, this makes these wheels really, really stable, and the suspension is very good on the caravans. So as you see, we have a solid suspension here, a big spring suspension on each wheel, and we got a shock absorber here. And we got a really solid chassis underneath the caravans. Look at the other side from here. Two strong suspensions there on this side. Everything is very strong in terms of chassis. So compared to using some of the European caravans here in New Zealand, this is a huge advantage because we got so bad roads, and in Australia of course as well. And there's a lot of shaking. So I heard some stories from European caravans where the chassis is actually breaking from this strain. And of course you can load it up with heavier weights as well, having a strong chassis. So I cannot complain about that at all. It's very strong. The whole drivetrain here and the whole suspension, the wheels and the chassis, everything underneath is very solid and very good. So that's a very good feature about the Jaycos. Now the non-Outback version of the Jayco, they don't have the independent suspension. They just have a normal spring suspension on there, and they're also not quite as high up as the Outback version. Now having an Outback version of the Jayco comes also with a little bit of a downside, which I did not consider initially. Because it's so high up behind your tow vehicle, it has a lot of wind resistance, so it costs you a lot more towing this caravan than towing a lower caravan. If you're concerned about the cost of driving around and you have to drive long distances quite often with your caravan, then it might be something to consider for you. It is very expensive to tow this caravan. We're using nearly 20 liters on 100 kilometers while we tow. Whilst if you had an English caravan that only weighs half of it and is much lower, you would probably be down to 12 to 15 liters towing, right? So it makes a big difference in terms of cost of towing, having this high sitting Outback caravan. Now, of course, having a high caravan like that, you also need a nice solid step to get into your caravan. So we got a manual slide out step here. Can't complain about that, works really good as well. So now one thing I really like about this caravan is the awning. It comes with an electric awning, and you don't have to muck around rolling out your awning manually, and that used to be a bit of a hassle when we still had our bus, because every time you got your awning set up, the wind picks up, then you have to worry, and then you have to get out and roll your awning back up. And with our Jayco now, we got an electric awning that is controlled by a little switch on the inside. So it's really easy. When we arrive, it's not windy, we bring it out, and when the wind picks up, we just bring it back in. It's also really good for rain protection when it's not windy and raining. Then you can still sit outside under the awning, and you can level it in a way that the water runs down to one side of the awning. All right, let's show that. Haitian, bring out the awning, please. And let's have a look. So Haitian is just pushing the button now. As you can see, the awning comes out, rolls out nicely on its own. It's pretty solid, actually. I was a little bit worried when we bought this caravan about this awning, because the more moving parts or electric parts you have on your caravan, the more can go wrong, right? But it has not been any problem for the 2 years that we have it. And as you can see, I have angled the awning up so that the water can run down to one side. Now this is pretty easy to do. On each side of the awning you got these kind of clip-ons, and you can clip them on into these different holes here, and that controls the angle on each side. So on one side of the awning I've got it set all the way to the end where the little metal knob is. On the other side I have the metal knob set at the beginning so that the rain can come down. So I think that's pretty cool, nifty feature, having this electric awning here. It makes life so much easier. Yeah, and after my initial concerns that this might not last long, it did last long, and I'm quite happy to have this electric awning. Now, one thing I do quite often is I spray some oil onto the moving parts of the awning, like onto these gas struts here and onto the joints on this arm that runs up and down the rail. I spray some CRC oil onto that every now and then, because if you don't do that, the awning, when you bring it in and out, starts squealing and squeaking and doesn't sound so good. And basically then you know it's time to put a little bit of oil on it, and that's pretty much all you need to do then.
Just turn on the light for Mark to filleting fish.
Now it's evening, I just came back from fishing. It's a bit of a mess, but another thing I wanted to show you what I like about this caravan and the awning is we got some nice LED lights here for nighttime. We also got a light,
outside light over there.
Light up there, but this LED strip on the awning here at nighttime is really cool once you roll it out. A couple of those LEDs have already failed, but most of them are still working. And yeah, it's actually a cool feature, and it looks really nice in the evening. On the back side of the caravan we got a bicycle rack, but since we don't have any bicycles, I just use that to transport like an extra spare grey water tank, a roll-away tank, and also a fresh water tank. Now that's empty, my fresh water tank. It's a 20-liter container, and if I fill that up with fresh water, then I will transport that in the car, because I don't want to put too much weight on the back of that bicycle rack, of course, right? I've also installed a reversing camera. You can see it up on the top there. The caravan we bought, it didn't have a reversing camera, so I just bought a cheap $350 reversing camera from Repco. It's a wireless reversing camera. You don't have to do much, just put that up there and connect it to one of the tail lights, drive with lights on, and then you have your monitor wirelessly connected in your car to this camera. Makes quite a difference when you tow on your own, especially when you don't have anyone to help you backing up and you want to see what's going on behind you. I also got myself a few PVC pipes from the hardware store, and I made myself some fishing rod holders, 2 fishing rod holders in the back. For now I just connected them to the chassis with those metal type of stainless steel cable ties on each side. Now that's another advantage of having an Outback off-road caravan. Being so high up, you have a bit of space underneath to install these kind of fishing rod tubes. And they're quite good for carrying long things, not only fishing rods, but also like long brooms or whatever. So yeah, I got my flounder spear in there, my fishing rods and things like that. Jayco comes with a spare wheel that's installed on the bumper. And one thing I found really useful is getting these backpacks, caravan backpacks. I'm not so sure what they are called. So I've seen these caravan backpacks in some videos, and I was looking for them, and I actually found this on Super Cheap Auto. And it's pretty cool because you can attach it to the spare wheel like a backpack, and you can put all your dirty stuff in there, like for example your grey water pipes. And you know, if you're camping for a while and you collect some rubbish, you can put your rubbish bags in here so you don't have all the dirty stinky stuff inside your caravan. And this is really, really handy. So I bought this right after we bought the caravan, so that's also 2 years ago, and the color has faded a little bit from the sun, but it's still holding up solid and it's very good. All right guys, we're almost around the caravan. Let's move on to the other side, what we got here. So pretty much everything here is standard caravan features. We got our windows here, of course. There's a vent up on the top, all the standard caravan stuff. We got our toilet compartment where we can take out our toilet, take it to the dump station. We got our power inlet for staying at powered sites. These are just vents for the fridge. It comes with a 3-way gas fridge that needs to be vented here. One interesting thing about the Jayco is how you fill it up with water. Our Jayco, and I think that's standard with Jayco, with these type of Jaycos, comes with 2 water tanks and 1 grey water tank. Each of the 2 fresh water tanks is 80 liters. So we got in total 160 liter fresh water, and we got an 80 liter grey water. These freshwater tanks are installed right under the caravan here. Now, as I mentioned before, on the other side, also on this side, we got the outside hedge that runs all the way through to the other side. So accessible from both sides. On this side, we keep all our water filling stuff, our water hoses and all this kind of stuff easy on this side, and a few tools in there. So yeah, it's not the biggest space, to be honest, for like some outside storage, but it's good enough to have all your dirty or outside stuff in here. We also keep a spare toilet with us, and we can take out this toilet and put in an empty toilet, and then later on we can take 2 toilets to the dump station, right?
Full of shit.
Yeah, full of shit. Now, one last thing on this side, you might wonder here, is this outlet. The Jayco, when we bought it, and I thought it was really cool actually at the time we bought it, comes with a Gas Califont. It's not a hot water cylinder, it's a Califont where the water gets heated while it runs through. Yeah, so the idea is when you want to take a shower or wash your dishes and you turn on your hot water, you get instant hot water. And I thought that was really cool because you don't have to wait for the bloody water cylinder to heat up. We used to have that in the bus, and it was just quite a long waiting time always. But it doesn't really work as good as it should. It takes a long time for that water Califont to kick in. So when you open up your hot water tap, it will first run a few liters of cold water through it before it actually starts heating the water. And on top of that, you got the distance from the Califont to your shower, for example. The Califont is right in the front, the shower is right in the back. So you got all the cold water sitting in the pipe between the Califont and the shower. And then when you turn it on, that water runs through, plus another few liters before the Califont actually kicks in and starts heating. So you lose, every time you turn on the hot water, you lose a couple liters of water. And then when you turn it off again, even when you have like the hot water still in the pipes, when you turn it off, soap yourselves up, and then you turn it on again, you get the hot water coming from the pipe, but then there is still a leak in the Califont. You still get like a liter or so cold water each time you turn off and turn on the tap. So it's a bit wasteful, and I haven't figured out a way around that yet. You can do like install a recirculation system or something like that. But now I actually think that maybe a hot water cylinder is a better way and not the Califont. So yeah, at the time I thought it's great. Now I think Califont, not so good for caravans. Now, while we've been wandering around the caravan, you might have been wondering what this is. This is our Starlink internet. Because we're traveling full time and we work online, we need a good internet connection to upload those videos for you guys. And that's why we use Starlink. We used to go with Wireless Nation, which is a 4G internet provider here in New Zealand, and they give you a modem. But in lots of those remote places, remote dock campsites and so on, it doesn't work so good. And with the Starlink, even though it's a little bit more expensive and it uses quite a lot of power, you have to run it through an inverter. We always get good internet now. So yeah, if you're traveling full time or if you're interested in traveling full time, I can recommend the Starlink. If you want to see that in a little bit more detail on how we set up and connected our Starlink here in our caravan, let me know in the comments. I can make another video about the Starlink if you like our experience with it and how we set it up so it's a little bit out of the way, right? That was all I can show you on the outside, so let's have a look inside. One thing I really like about the Jayco as well is that we got insect screening everywhere. So right now we're in a spot that has so many sandflies. They're just biting me constantly here. You don't want to have them inside your home, right? These insect screens, they block out all the flies, mosquitoes and all the sandflies and make life so much easier. All right, everybody, welcome inside our home on wheels. So I'm just going to show you around a little bit what we got on the inside of our Jayco Journey Outback caravan. So the Jayco Journey has the standard, basically Australian caravan setup. We got queen bed here, which is, I think they call this an island bed because you can walk around both sides. And we got a lot of storage in here as well, just around the bed. So the bed is fairly comfortable, to be honest. I quite like it. I think it's not the ultra premium mattress that they have. I think that only comes with the silver lines, but they have like a spring mattress, so it's a proper mattress in there. So we got ourselves this extra foam. This is like a memory foam, and we just put that on top as a topper on top of the mattress here from Jayco. So that makes it a little bit softer, and I find that a little bit easier to sleep on. But besides that, just a standard bed, pretty comfortable. For the larger people, like if you're a little bit taller like me, then you can slide the bed out a little bit. And if you're shorter, you can push it in a little bit further, and then you got even more space here. But I can't sleep on such a short bed, unfortunately. So we got like sort of some reading lights here on each side. Cool thing is that we can control the lights here on the side of the bed. We got an off switch here for all the lights. So when you go to bed in the evening, you can just push that off switch and all the lights in the caravan go off. That's a pretty nice feature on here. Besides that, on this side of the end, we got a TV, bit of a swivel TV here. Now that can be connected to a satellite dish if you have one, but we only connected to our internet. So I plug in a Amazon Fire Stick in here, but you can use any stick really and turn that into a smart TV and connect it to the internet. Here on this side we got our Starlink router here that is connected to the Starlink dish I've shown you earlier, and that is responsible for all our internet. So Jayco didn't provide a lot of 12-volt plugs on the inside here. So I installed one myself. So I ran a cable which from under the bed where the battery is through under the underside back into that shelf, and installed a fairly strong 12-volt plug here so that I can draw out like something like ridiculous 90 watt. And I also installed a switch for an inverter, which I show you in a minute, so we can turn on and off the inverter here, and just a little bit of a holder for the mobile phone to charge. We also use our coffee grinder. Since we got a nice big inverter, we can use all the machines like a coffee grinder and also an espresso machine. And here, Haitian can use her hair dryer. We can use the microwave, everything running on the inverter. So yeah, I wired that up in a way. If you're not living on the road full time or traveling, you probably don't have this power need. You just use it on a weekend, and then it doesn't really matter if you have your espresso there or not. So you probably don't need this inverter, but if you intend to travel full time, then you want to have a good power setup, right? So you can use all the appliances that you need. With the bed, all the Jaycos and probably all Caravans with that setup are the same. You can open the bed to have some extra storage underneath. On our model, we got like lots of stuff in there. And because we are full time on the road, we have also lots of stuff around our bed, which is now not an island bed anymore. You have to go into the bed from the front end. But when you close the bed, all this side stuff is nicely hidden away. So when we bought the Jayco, we had one battery in here. And I took that out and I installed instead 3 lithium batteries, each one with 100 amp hours. So we got 300 amp hour lithium batteries. And then I also installed a big 2000 watt inverter there. And we got 640 watt solar panels. That's 4 160 watt panels. And this is our solar controller that charges up the batteries. I then also connected the inverter here, the 2000 watt inverter, directly to the power sockets right there. And what that does is it provides power to all the sockets in the Caravan. So we can plug in our appliances like our coffee maker directly into the wall socket. Jayco did a pretty good job. They installed lots of wall sockets for people who camp on powered sites, I suppose. And they're all over the place, and by powering these up through the inverter, we got like basically power everywhere in the Caravan and also on the outside socket that I've shown you before. So that was a pretty good modification I did, powering that all up. So if you are thinking about how you can improve your setup a little bit, I would recommend using your inverter in that way, and then you don't have like an extension cable coming out from under the bed where you only got one socket, but you can use it everywhere. If you're interested in my power setup and how I installed all this kind of stuff, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to make another video about the installation process and go a little bit more into depth about the electrical stuff that we have here. You know, when I bought everything and I installed it myself, and that cost me about $5,000 for the batteries and the panels and the cables and all the stuff what you need. So it saves a lot of money if you do it yourself.
So my kitchen, Caravan kitchen, has a nice big basin. You can do full washing and the nice lights everywhere. Previous owner put this nice rail for the paper towel, and Mark installed this dishwasher soap dispenser for me.
So this here comes from Temu, this thing. I just glued that to the wall. That's pretty good for a dishwashing soap dispenser.
That's pretty handy because when you move around, you don't want to have a separate dishwashing liquid bottles everywhere. But if it's attached, permanently attached to the wall, that's bonus. And all the drawers you need, you know, you can store lots of stuff. I'm not gonna open it because it's gonna explode. And then we have 4 different gas stoves. Some of them has like one with electric power, but we have all gas stove. And then nice oven. This is our lifesaver. Mark bakes nice sourdough bread all the time in here. Now it's leftover bread. House is not very clean, you see. Fridge, nice big fridge.
The fridge is a full-size 90-liter fridge with a freezer compartment, which is pretty good. Like we have a little bit of bait in there, and
Bait. Need to clean it a little.
And often we buy like a frozen chicken and keep that in there for emergencies. And then we got a nice big fridge.
Full of vegetables. Oh my
Yep.
God.
So that fridge works really good, and you can carry a lot of stuff around. We got a microwave here, which initially I thought was pretty useless when you're mostly camping off-grid. You know, you can't use it. But then initially I had a 1200 watt inverter installed that didn't work with a 900 watt microwave. This 900 watt microwave turned out to use more than 900 watt. But now, since we have installed our 2000 watt inverter, we can use this microwave easily. So yeah, we use it often here off-grid, just heating up things. Works perfectly and is actually now really good to have this microwave. This is another sort of standard thing that you get with motorhomes. Range hood here to suck out the steam.
An LED light.
And some lights for your stove. Then we got our control compartment, which is a little bit messy with sort of USB cables and stuff, but there we can control our awning and our water heater and things like that. We also got a bit of an old school control panel type of information panel to see the status of our water tanks and our great water tanks, and the battery, which I'm bypassing now with my own installment, so I'm using a Bluetooth battery monitor instead. And we got our radio, which is connected to all those speakers here on the ceiling. So we got a few speakers here on the ceiling, one in the front and one over the bed as well. We connect our TV to those speakers, and then when we watch some TV or so in the evening, some movies, then we get the better sound directly out from those speakers.
So we also, our heating system for winter, we have a gas heater. It is really good. It's not so loud. We can turn it on in the morning. We set up the temperature for the timer during the night. Here is this outlet for the gas heater that blows all the warm air.
It's installed underneath the sofa. That is also an addition that was done by the previous owner. When you buy those caravans new, you can order them with a gas heater, but if you order them without and then you order a gas heater separately and install it yourself, it's a lot cheaper. Preferable is probably a diesel heater rather than a gas heater, because then you don't have to use up your 9 kg gas bottles and you just carry around an extra container with diesel, and they seem to be a little bit more efficient than the gas heaters.
So underneath of sofa, there's all the storage. You can store more stuff. It's full now, pretty full, everything. And this handrail that's installed by the previous owner too. When you can climb up, easier to grab this handrail.
So that's another cool thing that I got off Temu here. This is like actually made for the back seat of your car, but it works pretty good too. I just drilled in a few screws here, and it gives you a lot of extra little compartments to put like important things like your flashlights and your, your tools that you need. So yeah, that's pretty good. I'm gonna put another one here, I think. Jayco itself has also a few like sort of these kind of storage compartments in the entrance, but they're already full with stuff, so we needed an extra one here. And this one from Temu has lots of small little compartments, so I kind of like that. Also, this mirror here is a quite cool addition that lots of the caravans don't have. So I don't know how they installed it, if they ordered it like this or if you can order it like this. But this mirror like opens up the space quite a little bit. So when you look in the caravan, everything looks a little bit bigger. Same like with this big mirror here in the bathroom. Sort of when you leave everything open and you got big mirrors, opens up the space quite a bit. Now what I didn't like initially is that the door between the caravan and the bathroom is only a little bit of a slider here. That sort of dampens a little bit your privacy that you get in the bathroom there. Just a little bit
okay,
flimsy.
only me.
Yeah. So inside the bathroom we got like it's actually a fairly fancy bathroom. We got like a ceramic toilet here, almost like a toilet at home that can swivel around a little bit even. A really cool thing for us at least is the washing machine. Lots of people don't use the washing machine. I think if you're traveling full time, then it becomes really cool. It uses a lot of water, so you have to have a water source and a dump station close by to be able to use it. But we do use it a lot, not only for washing, but also if you got some wet clothes and you just want to spin it dry quickly, like my sport running clothes for example. Goes in here, and it's only a small washing machine.
And we hate waiting in the laundry mat to finish the washing done. Oh, The laundromat, I think that's the dodgiest place in the world.
Yeah, I much prefer that over the laundromat.
So our lovely washing machine only deal with the cold water. So when you need to do hot washing, like beddings or like clothes, you need to be really hot. Then you have to go to the laundromat. Inevitable. But I try my best to avoid to go to the laundromat.
So the rest of the bathroom is pretty fancy as well. We got a really cool looking basin here, like a ceramic wash basin here, and tons of storage here, around here, underneath the wash basin. There are a couple more power sockets in here as well, and a water tap there for feeding the washing machine, which is quite handy. And since I've connected the power sockets to the inverter, we got like our electric toothbrush and everything just here charging up.
And Mark installed this stuff, little stuff.
Another thing from Timo, a toothbrush holder. I've got like from Timo this thing as well, like same like in the kitchen for the hand wash. Alright, so let's have a look in the shower quickly. So the shower is a big full-size shower. When you're not showering, you can use it as a bit of a storage place as well. So we hang our rain jackets in here and put our laundry in here and things like that. But yeah, it's actually a nice comfortable shower. We got a big fan on the top to suck out the moisture when you shower. So we got a big full-size shower head here. So alright guys, so yeah, that is the inside of our caravan. The caravan is actually quite bright here on a sunny day. It's pretty bright in here and lots of lights coming in, and you got a nice view through those big windows when you're camped up somewhere. There's not so much to say about the inside really. I mean, if you're interested in one of those caravans, you're probably gonna go and have a look around the inside anyway. I kind of like the color choices they made in here. Jayco actually makes their caravans quite good looking on the outside and also on the inside. We want to move on to the next part of the video, and now we're going to show you a few problems we had with the caravan as well. Jayco doesn't seem to have the best reputation in terms of quality anymore. I want to talk a little bit about if it's only a Jayco problem or if it's maybe a problem for caravans in general. Now let's walk around once more and I will point out the issues that we've been having. So I will show you the bad and the ugly parts as well, as I promised in the beginning. So let's have a look at right at the front end here. The main issue we've been having here is with this front flap, the cover for the front window. It is fairly flimsy, and the plastic here is very prone to cracking, especially if it gets a little bit windy or if you forget to close that and you drive off with the caravan having this open. This can sort of move up. It's only installed on a little flimsy kind of channel here. So this is just riveted on here. As you can see, ours has already developed a stress crack around here. And basically along the whole plastic there are stress cracks here. Yeah, eventually this will have to be fixed. So being very flimsy, we had to exchange one of the gas struts. Luckily they're fairly standard, so you can get a new one from a hardware store fitting one. So yeah, I had to change the other one because the flap didn't stay open anymore. I think the gas must have leaked out or something like that. So that is the second issue. But yeah, the main thing is the cracking. So you can undo this thing, take the whole cover off, take it to a plastic welding shop maybe, and then we can get that fixed, or you can buy a replacement cover, but they're really expensive. To show you guys the second issue we've been having, I'm gonna go up here to the awning rail, and I'm gonna show you quickly what the issue is there. So they have these plastic covers here over that channel. You can just pull them out, and there are a couple of cables, extra cables sticking out. I don't know what they're for maybe for some side cameras. But here, right here, where you can see all the sealant now, there was just a big gaping hole right into the plywood. All the water that would be coming down from the roof, running along this channel here, would have a channel right into the caravan, right into the side wall with this gaping hole. So I just sealed that all up. So this is something you might want to check out on your Caravan as well. If you buy something like this, it looks like Jayco just forgets to put sealant on in places. So potentially this could lead to a lot of damage if there's this big gaping hole and it's not being sealed up. And if that goes unnoticed, you could lose your whole sidewall from that. All right, moving on to the next issue. Everything on this side, on the entrance side of the Caravan. We got the wheel arc issue here. Right after we bought it, after the first heavy rains, we've been having lots of water inside on top of those wheel arcs. They are like covered, they're underneath the inside sitting area. Turned out that they're not sealed up properly from the factory. I solved it by adding sealant over those wheel arcs here. The water that was running down the sidewall was just seeping right in there. There was no sealant at all. Seeping right underneath the plastic cover of the wheel arc, underneath here, and then it found its way up into the inside because, yeah, obviously there's not enough sealant or they didn't design this properly. It was a bit of an issue, but we solved it with some extra sealant. Another factory issue from Jayco here. So if you buy those things and you have a Caravan like this, make sure you check those wheel arcs, seal them up properly. Also check on the inside after heavy rain if there's water sitting on the inside on top of your wheel arcs, either underneath your sitting area or underneath the kitchen sink. Next issue, our door. I noticed a little bit of cracking and peeling around the little entrance door window around here, like a fairly big gap around here. So there was no sealant applied between the wall and this window here. Water could run down the wall and seep into here, into these little cracks, and cause a little bit of damage. It's not too bad, just a bit of paint crackling around here. But I fixed that by just sealing this up here with some windscreen sealant one time around this window, prevent water seeping inside here and come behind that door wall. Same issue we've been having with the door. Yeah, so the door has just some mastic sealant, and after a while I noticed there are lots of cracks forming around the door and the wall. And again, I started sealing that all up with some new polyurethane sealant. I ran a fairly thick bead all around the door to prevent any water seeping in on the sides. Moving on to the next issue. Again, on this side, not far from the door, our grab handle here started leaking. Well, the first thing, the grab handle has a light built in. Supposedly there's a little button where you can switch on the light. That has never worked since we bought the Caravan. That button here is broken, and the light bulb inside there, the LED light inside there, started corroding out the little contacts, and the LED light is broken right from the start, possibly because water has been leaking in here for quite a long time. At some stage we noticed some brown water stains building up here underneath the grab handle. Got a bit worried. I undid the screws, I pulled out the grab handle, and sure enough, inside there was a lot of water built up, and the whole inside plywood was rotten. So you can watch that in our other video. We made a video specifically about all the leaking problems we had with this Caravan. I explained that in more detail. I'll link that in the description. So you might want to pay attention to your grab handle. I fixed that in the end now after fixing the inside damage by sealing that all up around here with sealant so that no water can seep in there anymore. Moving on to the back side of the Caravan. As you can see, our Caravan, our model, the newer models don't have that, has this plastic cover over the back. I think it's just for looks, basically. It contains those tail lights and one of the brake lights. It seems to be a complete design disaster. Let me show you. So what happened here with this plastic cover, it is supposed to cover the backside, and there should be a sealant running underneath. So everything underneath here should be sealed up, because this is just a cover. But Jayco failed to seal that up underneath. This cover is pretty prone to cracking, and our cover cracked, and I have seen that happen on many other Jaycos with that same setup. Here you can see that plastic cover running along the width of the Caravan here in the back. And it's all nice and sealed between the roof And then we got like this kind of rail running around here, which is all nicely sealed up. But once we get to the corners, there was no sealant here at all in this area, and also not on the other side. There was just a gap here, so all the water could just run in and seep in here underneath the plastic cover, and then of course build up a lot of moisture, and without the proper sealant underneath here, it would just seep into the Caravan. On top of that, ours cracked. So you can actually see a crack forming underneath here. I put some sealant on top of that, some Eterna bond tape to prevent any further cracking. But there was some crack in here as well. Water could seep straight in there and cause a lot of damage. So if you have a Caravan like this that has this plastic cover, it's the older generations, I think. Ours is a 2020. I think later on they didn't do that anymore. But you got to check this. You got to really pay attention to these plastic covers, and especially the cracks. The best thing would probably be to completely remove them, seal everything underneath, and then put them back on. While we're here on the roof, I want to show you just one more issue with the factory installed solar panel. I mentioned that in our previous video already. They just installed 4 brackets, 2 on each side. They were drilled into the roof here. Sealed up a little bit, and then it's just an L bracket, and that is screwed, the other side is screwed into the solar panel. Now this is an stainless steel bracket, aluminium solar panel frame, and stainless steel screws drilled into the aluminium solar panel frame, which means that this kind of corrodes in a way that you cannot remove these screws anymore, because these are just normal cross driver screws here, which is really annoying if you want to remove that solar panel for inspection, because the actual cable entry from the solar panel is underneath the solar panel. So if there is any sealant problem underneath with that cable entry, or the cable breaks, you have to remove the solar panel, and it's almost impossible to get off as it is. Another thing to watch out here on these Caravan roofs is that the water tends to be pooling in the corners. So not only do we have the weak part here with that plastic cover, we also end up usually having lots of water pooling here in this area. And if there's any loose sealant or cracked sealant, water can seep into this corner and cause also damage on the inside walls. So the tip here, always check the sealant. Add some additional sealant around here if you can, just to make sure this part on each side is always completely sealed up. So next issue you want to be careful with these Caravans is the little vent you get on top of your bathroom window. The little vent over the bathroom window is prone to leaking as well. So there is no sealant around it, and I solved that also by adding an extra bead of sealant just around the vent, so that no water can run into the vent really. You still have a problem when heavy wind and rain is pushing against that side. You'll get a bit of water coming through that vent, as well as the vents for the fridge. That's the both vents for the 3-way fridge here. Water can be pushed in there when it's really windy and the water gets pushed against the side walls. But especially on that vent on top of the bathroom window, that has problems with those Jaycos. I think it's better to seal that up just around the vent one time, so to solve other problems. Wheel arc, same problem as I already talked about on the other side. Now one issue we just recently discovered is that we had quite a bit of water damage or like wet walls just underneath the fridge. Underneath the fridge there's a little cupboard. You can store some cutlery and stuff in there. I noticed there's a very wet wall underneath there. I thought it was from defrosting the fridge. Water might have come down from the fridge. I noticed that there's a big gap in the sealant here, and this is the corner where it actually joins with the floor. And there's a big blob of sealant squeezed in here, but it's not done properly. And you can actually stick your finger in here and it goes straight into the inside of the Caravan. So there's a big gap here and a big piece of missing sealant. And of course, when you drive in rain, all the water will be thrown up against here and it will be pushed right into this gap and right into the sidewall basically, because there's missing sealant. On the other side it's sealed up properly, on this side it's not sealed at all. And we haven't noticed that for quite a long time, because usually we don't drive in rain, but recently we did. We got a problem that the inside wall is all wet, which we're drying out now. It hasn't caused any damage because we noticed it early enough, but you want to check those things here, especially around the wheels, where the water really gets pushed in with some force, that this is all sealed up. And Jayco, again, the factory sealant, what they did, their factory job wasn't good enough. They didn't seal it up. So again, it's an easy fix to do. Just squeeze in a lot more sealant and make sure that there are no gaps. That's what I'm going to do. It's my next job to do. Moving on to the next issue on that side. As I mentioned before, we bought the Caravan second hand, and the previous owner has told us that as soon as he picked it up brand new, they bought it brand new in Auckland, from Auckland Jayco, took it up to the Northland where they were living. On the first rain, they had all the water coming in from that window on the inside, water running down the side walls. They had to take it to a panel beater after their very, very first rain. They had to remove the whole window because it wasn't sealed properly, and they sealed it up properly this time without all this weird mastic in there, proper sealant. I put it back in and it has never leaked since. But there was a factory pickup, brand new Caravan leaking on the first rain. Now let's move on with the issue, and that is the Gas Califont. Our Caravan doesn't have a hot water cylinder, it has a Gas Califont. This is the outlet on that side here. And then right on the inside, the Gas Califont is sitting. That's where the exhaust fumes come out when it's running, right? And I thought it was a really good idea to have this Gas Califont. I mentioned that before. But what happened the first time we camped in freezing temperatures last winter was that the Califont was actually freezing. And it doesn't seem to handle frost at all, because there's a kind of a overflow shut-off valve or whatever in there. And as soon as we had some frost, it opened up and we lost all the water in our water tanks. It just opened up and all the water just was pumped through our pump, through the Califont, out to the overflow. And that happened actually twice. So this thing cannot handle freezing temperatures. You have to completely bypass the Gas Califont if you want to camp in freezing temperatures. There's a little valve inside, so you can bypass this Gas Califont. But yeah, unfortunately it's not working when the pipes have a little bit frost on it. Okay, so when we first bought the Caravan, we had a bit of problem filling up those water tanks. In our previous motorhome, in our bus, we had a big one filler hole for all the tanks, and we could just plug in a hose and fill it up, and the air would easily escape. But with the Jayco tanks here, when you push in a water hose into the filler inlet, there's not enough air escaping out of it for some reason, even though we got these little air escape vents here. They don't seem to be big enough or something. I don't know what it is. But when you stick a hose in here to fill a tank, it makes a big mess and it's not easy to do. And also you have to fill up each tank separately, right? So after a few weeks having our Caravans, I eventually figured out that these garden hose adapters, the bigger ones here, the tap adapters, that they actually screw onto these inlets here. You can screw them straight onto here. And then you can just attach a normal hose adapter to that, right? Just clicks right in. Doing that makes it much easier to fill the tank. Now you still have the problem that you still have to fill up each tank at a time, right? So you can get yourself a splitter like this from any hardware store for garden hoses and just put in 2 additional pieces of hose, plug them both in at the same time. And now we can fill up both tanks at the same time. We just put our water hose in here. We can even turn it off, on and off. And if one tank fills up quicker than the other, then we can change the water flow to each tank until both are full. I think this is a super nifty tip if you have a Jayco Caravan or intend to get one of those. If you want to avoid lots of hassles filling your water and making a mess at the water tap, get yourself this easy little hack and yeah, off you go, much easier. Now these are all the issues we've encountered so far on the outside of the Caravan. So quite a few, as you can see, nothing really major. most of the things are fairly easy to fix unless you don't notice it in time. So yeah, if you notice it, you can fix it. If you don't notice it, then you might end up with some big damage on your internal walls, especially from water damage. That's when everything happens, right? Everything looks nice and works pretty good when it's dry, but as soon as it starts raining, you get problems. Can you see all the water running down on the side of the caravan there? That is at the back end of the caravan. Just by the plastic cover. And it's the same on the other side. Now, as you can see, we got an additional channel installed here for a side wind shade, which the previous owner installed. And you can see how the water runs down that channel, which is attached to the outside wall. If there's just a little bit of a failure in the sealant there, the water would seep in straight away into our side wall, which is not ideal. It's great to have the awning out here when it's raining like this and not windy, but the problems often start when it gets rainy and really windy at the same time. Then you can't have the awning out. In that case, the wind will push the rain right against the side walls, and depending how strong the wind is, it can push it right into the windows, and you might get some leaking there. It would be better to have a little bit of a channel over the top of each window like they do with the leisure lines, so that the water doesn't run necessarily down on the sides of the ceiling, which can cause problems, of course. Now let's have a look at a few issues we encountered on the inside so far. Now the inside hasn't been quite as bad as the outside, but there are a few little things. The first thing we noticed is that the kitchen sink here is not sealed around the edges. So when you're parked in an angle and for some reason water runs over the edges and builds up around here somewhere, it will seep in through the sides and it will come out underneath the sink. It is not a huge issue if you're a little bit careful, but that was something we noticed pretty much straight away. So the next very annoying issue is with the sofa or like sitting area design. We got the L-shaped lounge here, and that consists basically out of two, move the table a little bit out of the way. That basically consists out of two sort of foam pillows, right? One lengthwise and one for that section, for the L section. And they're just sort of, basically they're just lying on top of the plywood. There was a little bit of a Velcro patch glued onto that, which did not hold at all. And here what happens, this does not really fit properly. You really have to push it in, right? But then when you sit on it, after a little bit moving your bum around, this will just slowly come out, and you always end up with this pillow like somewhere like here or like this, you know, and this is very, very annoying and becomes also uncomfortable if you're working on your computer or something, or you're sitting here in this area for a little bit of time. Yep, this just does not hold. So we're not so sure how we're going to solve that. Maybe we cut off a little bit of that corner so that this pushes in a little bit better and holds position a little bit better, or yeah, not so sure yet, but definitely a bit of a design flaw here for the sitting area, which makes it quite uncomfortable. So a couple more minor issues is like screws and things that come loose after shaking a little bit, and some things just being stapled in. So we had a few minor issues that are pretty easy to solve, like with our little shelf underneath here, for example. So when you drive, you can lock that in, and the little bracket that is screwed in here in the inside, that came loose after a while. So every time we were driving, this would just slide out because the lock didn't work properly anymore. Now I fixed that. Okay, still works, but not very good. So next issue, which is not Jayco specific, but basically it's an issue with the Thetford stove. We really like that we have a full oven in here, and it's got a toaster and an oven section, but the toaster already stopped working. Now, definitely not Jayco's fault, that's just the appliance in here, but it turns out there's a little bit of a heat sensor with these gas stoves, and when you push your gas knob in, you have to hold it for a little while, and then you can let go and the gas flame will keep burning, and that is linked to some kind of heat sensor in there. And this one has gone for the toaster section already, so we cannot use our toaster anymore. Bit annoying. It can be replaced. I have to order the spare part, costs about $150. Pull the whole gas hob out and get to the back side, and then I can replace that and fix it myself. But it's a bit of a nuisance. But yeah, this is the Thetford Triplex Plus oven gas hob. Another issue, the fridge here, also not Jayco's fault of course, is a Thetford fridge. Again, same brand, it's an English brand I think, Thetford. And there's like the grab handle here for that fridge that is spring loaded, and it's supposed to stay up when you close the fridge door so that the door cannot open when you drive. Now as you can see, this is completely broken, there's no spring in it anymore. And we had already one time where the fridge door just swung open while we were driving, and everything was just ending up on the floor, all the sauce and everything, when we arrived at the campsite, which was very annoying. So this is this little handle which has already broken, and I probably can fix that. I just have to undo it and put a new spring in there.
This is my fix.
Haitian came up with a little Haitian fix with some tape over it, which most of the time holds as well. Or we could just push like a cloth in here while we drive to keep this down so that the door can't open. Now another issue here in the bathroom. We don't have too many issues in the bathroom, but one issue is that this water tap here, even though it looks very flash and fancy, our water basin and our tap, there is some leakage around here, and water always ends up around here on the base of the water tap. So we always have to use a bit of a cloth here and put that around here, and that will soak up any water that comes running down here, which is also a little bit of a nuisance. There's some water leak around here on the tap itself. Alright guys, so those are the issues we had on the inside so far. As you can see, nothing major, not too big. Everything is like just small things that are easy to fix, but there are a few things, and I think you'll probably get this with any caravan. As you've seen, quite a few of them are not even Jayco related. A few quality issues with Jayco using too small screws and things like that, and staplers that come off after a little bit of, after a little while shaking and things like that. But yeah, most of the inside appliances, and so they're made by other companies anyway, and they're just standard caravan appliances. So when these ones break, you can't really blame Jayco for that, right? And things will break because you're moving around a lot. They're not really made for like full-time usage anyway, and everything keeps shaking when you drive and so on. Yeah. Alright, so the reason why we bought a Jayco is because even though it has lots of issues, we think it's still a good choice for a caravan to buy if you can fix things yourself, right? Because Jayco is a big company. It's the first company who started building those kind of off-road caravans. Most of the other companies just copycats of the same thing, and there's small companies that might go under while you still own the caravan, and then you won't get any support. Jayco at least will have dealerships. They will give you good support as well, and you can get spare parts for those caravans and things like that. So Jayco, being the biggest manufacturer of these caravans, in my opinion, is still a good choice to buy them. And they also have a good resale values compared to other brands that are unknown, really, And one of the main reasons we chose this Jayco Journey, especially the Outback model, is because it's very high off the ground. And that means when you're parked up, you can store a whole lot of stuff underneath, all your camping chairs and everything. If it rains, you can just chuck it all underneath the caravan because there's lots of space underneath. Also, especially here in New Zealand with the bad roads, if you drive into petrol stations or over gravel roads and things like that, the road condition is often really bad. With these high up caravans, you don't risk scraping along the bottom, right? So that makes a big difference. Then we got the independent suspension, which really helps with stability when you drive with this caravan, especially over those bumpy gravel roads if you want to go to places where you normally can't go. And one of the real big advantages with these Australian-built caravans, especially for full-time travel, is that you have an incredibly high payload. So our caravan has a payload of 600 kgs additional to its tear weight. That means you can stuff all your toys and everything you need for full-time travel into the caravan without overloading it. And that makes a big difference with these caravans. If you consider English caravans, most of them, they only have like 150, 200 kg payload. And if you fill them up with water, you add like 80 kilos of water, you only got 120 kilos left. So there's not a lot to carry around. We can have onboard water tanks on this caravan. We can fill them up with water, 160 kgs of water, 160 liters of water. And then we can still carry all the other stuff that we need in our caravan, and we're still not overloading it. We're getting to the limit there, but we're not overloading it. So that is a huge advantage, not only with Jayco, but with most of the Australian built caravans, especially dual axle ones. They have a much higher payload than the single axle. We also like the design of Jayco. In my opinion, they look really cool. They got a cool color design. Yeah, everything they do looks really cool, even though if it's mostly just looks and the quality is not really behind it. So anyway, with this video, we just wanted to give you a bit of an overview, and I hope that helped you guys, and we see you in the next one. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to leave them down below. If we've forgotten anything, or if you want to know something in specific, leave us a comment. Super happy to answer all your questions, and if it's a bigger questions, we're going to make another video about it and show you some more details, right? Okay, until next time.